Well, welcome to the Aiming Five-Hole podcast. Not quite the joyous beginning that we thought we would have today, Ryan.
No.
Very unfortunate finish to the Olympics. Congratulations to the U.S. Great hockey game.
Yeah, we'll get into
Bad
that.
finish.
We'll get into that. I want to spend the first couple minutes mourning. And first of all, getting up at 5 a.m. to watch a hockey game.
You trooper.
I would love to say it was an honor to do it, but it sucked. It was like
It would have
it was
been
the
great.
same. It was the same feeling, when you got to go catch a 7 a.m. flight.
Yeah,
And
well,
you got to get up. It's just like, oh crap, I got to do this.
yes,
But
you had
once
to
the
get
game
up.
started, it was like a jolt of horse thief coffee. It was absolutely like
The
just
pace and speed of that first period was
I've like Brian Boucher said it between the benches on the NBC feed. He's never seen a pace of a game like that. I've never seen a pace of a game like that. I cannot believe that some of these players were able to do that for 3+ periods
anybody that
with the
says
amount of time they played. Like, look at Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. They played like 25 minutes apiece. It was insane.
anybody that says soccer or football, as you want to call it in the UK, is the most athletic endurance sport there is a fool after you've watched something like that. Yes, there's more guys, you're on and off the ice, but the speed and skill to do what these guys do
And the
and the
physicality.
physicality for 60 minutes is incredible, especially when you see best on best at that speed in that environment with everything was going on.
Yeah. That
Never going to see
game,
a sporting event like that again in your life.
that game, that hockey game was as good as this game can be. If you watch that and were not turned into a hockey fan, then nothing will be.
Oh,
Go enjoy your baseball, football, whatever. This was as good as this sport gets,
it's
and I'm sad that I'm
just
not going to see it again for a while.
well, right. And look at as sad it is that Team Canada lost. This was just good for hockey. You know,
It was. It
we're both
was.
living in southern states. You're in California where hockey has grown over the number of years. I'm in Florida now, um, and it's because of hockey like this that helps grow the game in this state, in this country.
Yeah.
Because, every TV in Canada, you didn't have to question was going to be glued to that game today.
Yeah.
But every restaurant, every bar, I can't tell you how many texts and emails that I got about viewing parties in Canada and in bars. My golf course in Canada that I'm still a member of was having a viewing party. And today or yesterday, when this was going to be a game and everybody realized it was 8:10 in the morning, Americans down here in Florida, my guys I play hockey with, who are all big hockey fans, were like going, "Where are we going to watch this game?" And they're like going, "Nothing's opened." And I went, "Yeah, that wouldn't happen in Canada."
Well, it didn't
It's
happen
just,
here
yeah.
because my brother went to a bar at 5 a.m. this morning.
And it was open?
And it was open. There were
Yeah.
lots of bars in LA that were
Not
open for
here.
this game this morning and
Not
serving
here.
booze starting at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well,
The
I
only
definitely,
thing
I wrote you at the first
you needed a
period.
drink, you
I
needed
needed
an
a
Irish
drink.
coffee.
It was crazy. It
Yeah.
was nuts. Oh,
Yeah. I made the mistake of sending my brother to a notorious Boston Bruins bar in Santa Monica. He did not feel particularly welcome
yeah.
wearing a Canadians hat. I don't know if he was wearing any Team Canada gear or not, but yeah, he was decidedly in the minority.
You look at, we always knew that at some point the Americans were going to win a big one.
You were just hoping it wasn't
I
going
was
to be
just
this
hoping
one.
it wasn't today.
Yeah. Well,
Given
look,
everything, we weren't going to talk about the politics of this, but we said this at the Four Nations. The Four Nations, a great tournament. It was so much fun, but there was the cloud of political environment around it. I think it was a hangover today into that, the rematch for
well,
so many
the
reasons.
political sort of environment is a lot more strained than it was last year
Right.
at this time, and so it was a lot. Which is why, again, don't want to talk about this.
No,
The only thing I wanted to say, and I
we're not
mentioned this to
politics
be,
guys, which is
yeah, we're not. But the only thing I wanted to say, which I thought was very funny, and I mentioned this to you earlier, was I don't remember Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, taking too many shifts alongside Austin Matthews
No.
during the game. So it was curious to me why he was drinking beer with the team in the locker room afterwards. But the man apparently
Whatever.
knows how to have a good time.
Yeah, well, at least he knows what a good time. Maybe doesn't know how to do his job, but whatever.
but
Look, Team
look,
Canada had a chance to win that
they should
game.
have won the game. But
After two periods, it should have been 4-1, 4-2, 5-2, 5-1. We had two breakaways by world's greatest hockey players, McDavid and
McDavid,
Celebrini.
Celebrini, McKinnon
McKinnon missed an open net
missed
in
a
the third
wide open
period.
net, and
Taves
Devontae's. I mean,
had
well,
a
that
shot at
was
the open net. We
Hellebuck made
shoulda,
an
coulda,
insane save.
woulda, but Hellebuck played a great game.
And I will say this as a Canadian, I do not think that Connor McDavid should have won the MVP of the Olympic tournament
Why not?
because Hellebuck gave up 2 goals in the entire tournament and stole the gold medal game. How do you not give him the MVP? How?
I don't know. I'd argue that point about, the breaking the record in 6 games that he played in terms of the points per season. He was dominant. Hellebuck, as great as he played in the final, a couple of the saves were lucky. Open nets, you can't give him credit for that. And 2 or 3 of the games, he played cupcake games, right? You play Italy in the first round or I forget who was in their round robin in their portion of it. That's how bad I am. But sorry, I would disagree with that. Look, he played great. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's a world-class goaltender, Vezina Trophy winner, President's Cup winner, but I'm sorry. I'd still give it to McDavid. He showcased why he's the greatest player on earth.
Well, I was laughing because after the game, and we'll talk about the coming back to the NHL in a little bit, but I was laughing because after the game, I was like, oh, Hellebuck's like, he's got to be on the high of a lifetime now. He's going to come back and they're going to bring the Winnipeg Jets back from the brink, and they're going to win the Stanley Cup. And then I thought, oh wait, they're in last.
Yeah. Oops. They're 9 points out of a playoff spot.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. No, but look at it. It's debatable. Obviously, goaltenders tend to get the short end of the stick when it comes to these awards. But I think it's arguable. McDavid. Hey, look, I think Celebrini, being a 19-year-old player in this tournament, showcased why he's the next great player of the NHL and going to be the face of the NHL sometime to come.
Can't argue with that. I mean, that was an unbelievable performance by him. But getting back to McDavid, I mean, it was kind of his fault.
Yeah, he kind of missed his assignment. 3-on-3.
He missed his assignment, and then you name him MVP.
Yeah, on 3-on-3, it's man on man, right? You got to play man on man when you come back on the defensive side of things. And he pinched over to the right side, tried to cut off that pass, and he shouldn't have.
And by the way, he went 1-on-2,
right,
to start the play that forced the turnover that started the odd man rush the other way.
Look, we had our chances. Congratulations, U.S. We'll suck it up at this point. They won. They won the game. Were they the better team? I doubt it, but they won the game. That's all it counts. They won it. And let's give kudos to the American women. Let's talk about the women for a moment. Team Canada women had them with 2 minutes to go. And again, a defensive, yes, they had the extra attacker with a goalie out with 2 minutes to go. Hillary Knight tips in a shot. If the defenseman had tied up the stick, it was you're supposed to do in that situation in front of the net. That doesn't happen, and Canada wins the gold medal, right? So, but kudos to the U.S. They kept grinding on the women's side, and they were the better team over that whole tournament. No arguments. Look, I think if the women had won the gold medal, it would be a bigger upset than the U.S. men winning the gold medal. So kudos to the U.S. We've always said this. Hey, look at Canadian hockey.
By the way, kudos to the Canadian women.
Yeah, kudos
to the Canadian women because nobody gave them a shot after getting waxed by the U.S.
5-0 in the round robin, and then to outplay. I thought we outplayed them for 2.5 period, 58 minutes. We outplayed the U.S. team, and hey, what can you do?
I do want to say with respect to the women's team, they, and I said this to you in some text thread or another. They looked so well structured and so well organized. They come at you at waves. They defend in waves, and clearly that's a coaching thing, right?
Right.
And I want to be, I want to be sort of sensitive to the fact that we're talking about women's hockey here, and I don't want to sort of like shift it over to the men's game. But you know, Wroblewski showed what a phenomenal coach he was. He was a phenomenal coach, and I can't remember whose organization. It might have been the Kings. I think he was the Ontario Reign
Yeah, I'm
coach.
not sure.
And he left under, like, for personal reasons. There was some under a cloud of some sort, and then he sort of rebuilt from there and started coaching the women's team, and has done an absolutely insane job doing it. Like I said, they looked like one of the best coach teams I've seen in a long time, and I guess it's just a matter of what opportunity is this guy going to get next to coach
Absolutely.
at the NHL level? Because he's clearly got a tremendous eye
Absolutely.
for the X's and O's and can get people to buy into whatever system he's putting in
Yeah.
place.
And the
So,
emotions he showed after the game,
yeah,
stood there crying like, hey, look, I think it's great for the women's game, showcase of talent. It's shown why the PWHL is important. It's growing the game on the women's side, which is really
yep,
important. I'm a father, obviously, of two girls. You've got a daughter as well. And showcasing women's sports is so important in today's day and age, and having opportunity, not that either any of our kids are going to be professional female athletes, but providing opportunity for them and showcasing that women can do whatever they want, whether it's on the sports arena or behind the scenes. That's important, and giving them opportunities. It's a great thing.
yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely,
so
and I can't wait till some of those PWHL games start getting shown on NHL Network again, so I could watch the
yeah.
same caliber of hockey but with more hitting.
Well, that's one thing I'm hoping with the showcase of the women's hockey game, and we'll get back to the men's game in a second, is that, and I've been saying this, you've seen my posts. We need ESPN or TNT or NHL Network or somebody in the US to step up and show these games
Yeah,
and
it's going
get
to
them
have to
off
be
of,
NHL. It's going to have to be NHL
well,
Network
get them
first.
off of YouTube TV because they
Yeah.
belong on television. You got to tell me that the WNBA and this 3-on-3 NBA now and all the other women's sports on television, and this doesn't deserve to be on television? Come on. Get with it, ESPN. Get with it, TNT. Get with it, somebody in the US.
There you
Step
go.
the hell up.
All right. Hey,
There
here,
we go.
here. There you
Back
go.
to the
All
men's
right.
game.
So, well, I'd say back to the NHL, right? Like,
Absolutely. Well,
you know,
NHL's got to help push this, right? They've got to be partners here. They've
yeah,
got to be a good partner to the PWHL and help them get the respect that they deserve.
yeah, yep.
So, but hey,
I wish I didn't have as much trouble saying PWHL as I do. I stumble over it every time.
hey, it's the one thing I don't get wrong.
It's the one thing you get right and say clearly, and
I
congratulations
believe
to
it.
you. All right,
I do.
Wednesday night
Wednesday night, we're
NHL.
back to
So
the
the players are,
NHL.
so teams are already practicing. The Olympic players
Yes.
are flying all back tomorrow. I heard on the NBC broadcast that they're flying to Miami because of these storms that are coming into the Northeast.
Wow, some craziness, the
So
snow
there's going
happening.
to
New
be
York is
some.
on a shutdown. Like they're
Oh my gosh.
banning travel in New York.
So some of these players are going to get back to their teams, who
Late,
knows when?
late,
Yeah, very
late.
late.
And actually, and I think I said this before we got on the broadcast today, is that the Leafs' first game is Wednesday night here in Florida
Florida.
against Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm actually going to the game, and as I do with a bunch of buddies here for charity, we rent the ice prior to the game. And we play on the ice surface before the actual game, and then we stay for the game as well. So
That's fun, isn't it?
if Team Canada had won today, I'm taking my daughter this time to watch me play, to watch the game, taking her out of school for the afternoon. And we were going to wear our Team Canada jerseys, but now I guess we'll have to wear our Leaf paraphernalia and we'll get booed for a different reason instead
Yeah.
of winning the gold medal. So unfortunately, but it's fun. So, but at least back at it on Wednesday night. They're coming here to Florida.
Yep.
Going to see the Tampa Bay. Who Montreal got this week?
Montreal doesn't start till Thursday, which is great.
Thursday. You got
If
an extra day off.
yeah, if some of the players are going to take their time getting in. But they've got the Islanders to start, and they've got a
That's a tough
stretch
matchup.
where they've got some matchups with teams that are right up there with them. They've got Washington on Saturday. Then they go on the road for a bit. San Jose, Anaheim, the Kings. I'm going to that Kings game, taking my daughter to that one.
Nice.
Then they've got Toronto, Ottawa, San Jose again, Anaheim again, Boston, Detroit, again, the Islanders. So March, the next 4 weeks, it's going to be a key time for the Canadians, and
Wow.
they went in on a high, right? They were 4-0-1 their last five before they went on the break, and I guess it's just a question of, are they going to make any moves? And I think the one move that they are certain to make is to dump Pat Laine someplace.
Yeah.
Um, who knows how
Because he
much of
clearly
their
doesn't fit into that lineup anymore.
no, I mean, they don't need a power play specialist, right? They're already got like a sixth, seventh ranked power play in the league. They're doing very, very well in that respect. They move the puck. They've got two power play units that can score.
Right.
Um, so they
Well,
don't need that shooter.
well,
What they,
last week you were suggesting they should stand pat.
I think maybe they should. That you
I
sent me that
suggested they should
you,
get a
you
goaltender.
you said they should get a goaltender, and
So you still
maybe
think they should get Billington? He proved
you
he's
mean
still a Big
Binnington.
Ten.
Yeah, Binnington's a
He's
big time goalie, but
still proved he's a
like
big time goalie.
right, and so you'd have to give up a lot for him.
So the question is, do the Blues move him at the deadline? We're 12 days away from
I
trade
think they
deadline.
do. I
A
think
week
they do.
Friday is trade deadline, March 6th at 3 p.m. We're less than 2 weeks away now of the trade deadline. Trade freeze ends Sunday night. Tonight, as we're doing this broadcast, you'll get this in the morning. So trade freeze have been lifted.
Yep.
How quickly will we start to see some moves of key players that are on the block? Key guys like Kadri, Dougie Hamilton, Evander Kane, Logan Stanley, Biddington. How quickly will we see some of these players move? Do you think it'll wait till next week at the deadline, or do you
I think
think
it'll
we're going to
wait.
start seeing it right away?
I think it'll wait. I think it's going to wait because
I don't know. I
because
because you're at a run now. You're at a sprint to the final. We're less than 25 games less than the season. Most of these teams have
totally
22
understand.
games.
Totally understand. But the selling teams are going to hold out for the best offer. They know there's a lot of pressure on some of these teams
You
to
just need
acquire.
one though. You just need one
And if somebody
to
makes a ridiculous offer for a player, then yeah, then you take that deal tomorrow or
right.
Tuesday or
But there's some
Wednesday.
teams on the fringe that need to get in there early and maybe try and buy quickly.
Teams on the fringe are not buying.
I don't know about that. You don't think that teams like Columbus that are a couple points
Nope.
out, or I don't think Toronto is. I'm trying to
Nobody's
look to the
spending
West.
nobody's
Los
spending
Angeles at
assets.
three's out. Nashville's going to sell. Like I don't know, but but you've said it before this. I don't think Minnesota's done yet. They're going to try and trade one of their goaltenders.
I think Minnesota is
Minnesota's
going
going
to
to
be
trade one of
very
their three
active.
goaltenders,
Colorado's
right?
going to be active. Carolina is definitely going to be active,
Yes.
I think. Um, but I think the selling teams are really going to sort of try to bid things up for as long as they can.
Well, one of the interesting teams is what's Panthers going to do? Like this year's been a wash because of the injuries.
Yeah.
So do you give up? Do you retool? Do you try and hold this team for another year? Can you do that given some of the free agency crap going on and stuff? I don't know.
I think at some point, Florida, and it may not be this season, but at some point, Florida is going to need to
They
think
need to
about
retool.
how can they, well, not even necessarily retool, because retooling requires them to acquire more players. At some point they're going to have to, and I'd say the same thing about Vegas. You're going to have to make a decision to retain some future assets as capital at some point.
Right.
Right? Like if you are not in a go for broke season, and I think maybe Vegas is, maybe Florida isn't.
I don't think Florida's because they're just coming off a 2 cup win. So they would have loved to have gone
Yeah.
for three. And that's why they kept everybody.
Without
Because of
Barkov,
injuries, they couldn't. But you're right. I think Vegas is a team in a tough Western division with how good Colorado is, how good Minnesota is. Can they do something in Dallas? How can they compete with those three teams? Because they're not right now,
no.
right? They're not.
I could see them trading for Biddington.
Absolutely. But can they take that salary on? Who are they going to jettison, right? Because they can't jettison a goaltender and for Biddington because they got to get rid of some salary cap to do that. And that's why I would say that
Well, you just
you
overpay to have salary retained.
right. So that's why I'm saying that somewhere like Montreal could be a great landing point for Biddington because you guys have room.
Well,
And
we'll
if
have
you
room
get rid of
if you
when you
get rid
get
of
rid of
Line.
Lane, that's what you do. You jettison Lane in that trade and maybe some draft capital, and you get Biddington, and you can afford them. I think Edmonton. I know they're strapped with the cap, but they could get rid of somebody in order to bring in Biddington. You get rid of one of those goaltenders.
I think the Canadians bring in Bennington if they think they're going to go for broke this year, and I don't think that Kent Hughes or Jeff Gorton think that this is the year to do that.
See, I still think the East is wide open, and they could be a team to do it. They could surprise. Look, no one thought they were going to the Cup that year. They went to the
Nobody,
Cup.
true, but I don't see. I have a tough time seeing them beating either Carolina or Tampa in a 7 game series.
With their current goaltending, I would agree with you. They get a better goaltending. I don't know. I don't know. I think their youthfulness, speed could be a real triggering factor. And let's remember too is that no disrespect to your Montreal Canadiens, you only had a few guys at the Olympics. Like one of the things we talked about before the Olympic break, coming back with 22, 23, 24 games left. Teams that had five, six, seven, eight guys like Florida, like
Tampa, Colorado.
Tampa, are going to come back with tired players, right? A team like Montreal, a team like other teams that didn't have as many players playing over there are going to be in an advantage. They're going to be rested, be better off. Now,
The
something to be said
Canadians had
for
4 important players there, though.
four compared to Colorado had eight, or who
Yeah,
was it? Florida had eight. Well, I forget what it was, but
right.
still, like I think that you've got to sort of weigh that in your mindset here. Going, maybe this is like I said. We said this weeks ago. The East is wide open. Whether you think you can beat Colorado or Minnesota or Dallas on the other side, the East is wide open.
What? So look, if it was me, I stand pat. But it's not me. I'm not a general manager. I'm not paid a dime to do that. I'm just sitting here in front of a microphone yakking. And so,
I also
if
think you
Ken
can get
Hughes
Stolharts out of Toronto for relatively cheap.
for a song, but and then you just have to sort of duct tape them together. But what I'd say is,
Maybe.
what I'd say is, look, if they were to do something, I wouldn't bemoan it. Right? If they did a trade that, and I trust Kent Hughes.
You just don't see the
completely
obvious right now. Is what
I
you're
just don't
saying.
see what's obvious. If he gets on the phones and works out a deal that makes them a better team and makes them truly dangerous in the playoffs,
You don't think
I'll be
Kadri
all
makes
for
them
it.
better?
I think he does. I don't. Yeah, I guess, but he's expensive. And then what do you do when Michael Hage is ready for the team next year, right? And then you got Kadri for another 2 seasons after that. So I don't know. But what I would say is I'm excited about the playoffs and the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs if they do something or if they do nothing.
I'm just
And if they do nothing,
cautious.
if they do nothing, I'll keep my powder dry for next year because
Yeah.
next year I think they're going to be a phenomenal team.
Right.
The Leafs, on the other hand,
Sell.
Buy.
Look, I said it last week. I'm not changing my tune at this point. Sell. Sell.
Okay.
Sell. Sell. I'm gonna say it again, like we said. They're four unrestricted free agents. Scott Lawton, Bobby McMahon, um, Carl Yarncroc, and Troy Stetcher. Trade them all. Get some draft capital. Restock.
well, the name you left
shelves.
out of there, and we've talked about it, is the name that some of the pundits are saying is getting they could turn into a bidding war is Morgan Riley.
And
Apparently
he's not an
Pittsburgh's
unrestricted
really
free
into
agent.
him.
He's got 4 more years on a really expensive contract, which I'm all for. I've been
Apparently
saying it
Dubas wants him.
Good, let him have him.
Let dumbass have him.
Let him
And,
have him. Let
and
dumbass
apparently,
have him.
I think San Jose might be in on him.
Let
as
him
well.
have him. Like we talked about this. I think a team that needs some help on the power play and isn't going to be reliant for him to play defense. When I say defense, defensively, let him play offensively. If someone's can have, I think he's going to be a valuable asset for us to trade. So I do. But barring a big name like him going, and I think he should go, I think the easy ones are like someone's going to want a gritty center like a Scott Lawton, Bobby McMahon, a big winger, because they're going to be cheap for them. Like we said this last week, McMahon he's on the last year of a $3 million contract, a $3 million per AAV. So buying him at this point, he's not going to cost you a lot. Bobby McMahon's a 1.3 million AAV. So buying him for the last 25 games is going to cost you a couple $100,000, right? So they're more of cost effective. I think the Leafs, in order to get rid of Riley, are going to have to eat part of that $7.5 million contract, right? So for the next couple years. So I think the Leafs are going to be a little bit more prudent in terms of if they're going to get rid of him, they're going to need something in return, or they're going to have to eat half of this contract.
Well, but that's why I'm saying if you've got multiple teams
Right.
interested in bidding against each other, maybe you don't have
Right.
to eat
But
anything, or
maybe
you have to eat
he's
very little.
but maybe he's better off. You keep him for this year, and at the draft, you're trading him then, right? Because the Leafs
Mm.
don't have to do anything now. We know we're not competitive. We know we're not going to win this year. So the unrestricted free agents are going to be easier moves because the cost to the team acquiring them is going to be less. The Leafs can get some draft capital, get something to help, and whether they use that draft capital now or they use that in bundle to get rid of someone like Riley before the draft, that's maybe why you do it, right? There's going to be two
Yeah, but if
occasions
they
here
wait
for
for
the
the
Leafs to make
draft,
some changes.
if they will wait for the draft to make a move with Riley or OEL, if they decide to go that direction, although
I hope they don't get rid of
I don't think
OEL
they
because I still
will,
say
but
OEL is being their best defenseman this year.
yeah. But so let's say they decide to do that with Riley, and but the idea behind that is not to get draft picks for use as draft picks, right? Because you're retooling, you're obtaining draft picks at the draft so that you can flip them right away that day and turn them into a roster player that's really going to help your team. And that's like, you know, that's like 67 level chess. Like I don't think that. Now, granted, general managers are really good at that. They make multiple deals that are dependent on each other in a day. But of um, you're putting a lot of pressure to make a lot of moves work together on the same day or within a 48-hour
Yeah,
period.
no question.
But if you can get those draft picks now and start working on that strategy on how to turn those draft picks into like premium defenseman or a premium forward to play with Matthews and Nyes,
Right. Well,
then
here's
maybe
here.
that I've always been
Right.
I've
Well,
always been a fan of having time to figure
no,
things
and
out
that's the kind of way I think on the Riley pieces because look at Riley's not had a great year, and I think that stigma right
offensively. He's done
now.
pretty well. He's
Well,
rebounded offensively.
yeah, but he's terrible defensively, and so he's not really had a great year. So I think there's a stigma around him right now,
Mm-hmm. So you think
and
his value is as
I
low
think
as
his
it's going to
value
be?
is low as it's going to be, right? So if you wait and trade him at the draft or over the
Mm-hmm.
summer, maybe some of that stigma's gone and people forget and go, hey, look, I need, as they start thinking about next year, some of the teams, like, I'm not saying it's the Habs or a Flame, somewhere, a Western team like Vancouver, he's from Western Canada. So maybe someone like Winnipeg or Vancouver or Calgary might want him because he's a Western boy, Canadian, and they could use an experienced defenseman that's offensive to help start their rebuild and be part of that team to rebuild. He's not going to be the future, but
No,
he
he's a
helps them
3-4.
for, yeah, he's going to help them for
He's
the
a
next few
second
years,
pairing
right?
guy.
So I don't think Riley goes to a contender because I don't think a contender needs a player like him. I think he's going to go to that middle, that lower bottom
The mushy
third of
middle.
teams, that mushy middle that sort of needs experience. And if the Leafs will eat half his salary, he could be an affordable player to build around your youthfulness around and help elevate the team eventually, right? And then he's going to
Mm.
be gone from that team in 3 or 4 years once that contract is over, right? So that's how I think of Riley. I don't think he's a trade piece at the deadline unless they get a good offer for him. I think he's someone at the draft. I think their UFAs are so attractable because of their effectiveness and cost, and that there could be good playoff contenders. Scott Lawton is a gritty forward, McMahon is a power forward. Sketcher has all of a sudden come out of nowhere as being proven to be a reliable defenseman. Carl Yonkrock, a great defensive forward. So
You mean
maybe those
Troy
guys,
Stetcher and Callie Yarncroc?
Carl
Okay.
Yonkrock, yeah.
Yeah.
What did
Okay.
I say?
So yeah, Cal something.
Oh, Cal Yarncroc. I get that wrong all the time.
So
But anyways,
all right. So
they're
we've
good.
only got a
Leafs
couple
have got to
minutes late.
sell.
Okay. That's the bottom line. Habs buying or staying pat. Leafs selling.
Yeah.
We only got a couple minutes left, and so I
You want to hear
thought
me
I
cry
would.
for 2 minutes?
No, I don't want to hear you cry for 2 minutes. It's a tragic thing, and it does nobody any good.
Tragic.
What I do want to ask you is name a team that is either on a run or could go on a run that is going to go into the playoffs flying high.
Wow. A team on the
So 25 games left. Who's going to go flying into the playoffs? That that is not among the top teams now.
wow. You know what? I gotta say, it's been amazing back half of the season. I know they're in the playoffs and they're in a wild card spot. I'm gonna be amazed if
Yeah, I think you're stealing
Buffalo.
my answer. You're
I think
stealing my
Buffalo
answer.
is gonna look kind of cool if they can win a round or two. Wow.
Yeah.
They could surprise a lot of people in the playoffs if they stay hot,
Yeah.
right? I think them, and then if you had to pick to the West, I'm going to say something that might be really stupid,
Okay.
but I think McDavid's pissed now, and Draisaitl's pissed.
I think Edmonton's going on a
I
run.
wouldn't count Edmonton out at this point. I think McDavid is mad. He's going to be nasty mad to come back from this
Yeah.
and driven. And so is McKinnon. I wouldn't discount an
I
Edmonton, Colorado Western final and it
really,
being epic. That's
really
my epic
okay.
Western. If I had to call it right now, that could be an epic Western final. Epic.
Well, I mean, look, if you've learned anything, don't bet against Connor McDavid getting to the Western Conference Finals and winning it. So,
Especially to get Jordan Binnington to play in that. I'm pushing for this.
all right, who do you have to call?
I don't know.
Make the call.
I'm doing it right now. Hopefully, the Edmonton
You're sending it out into the app, sending it out into the
one of our
atmosphere.
30 listeners is an Edmonton Oiler executive. Please,
Yes,
go get
I'm
Binnington.
sure that the Edmonton front office is
All over
first
us.
first thing on Monday morning downloading the Aiming 5-Hole podcast. All right, well, with that,
So
I think
who
we
do you
should
think?
wrap it up.
Who do you think?
I think Buffalo in the East, and in the West. Before the Kevin Fiala disaster, I thought maybe LA could have made another
they're
move
done.
and they're toast. I think it's very possible that Minnesota, now granted they're one of the top teams, but they're behind Dallas and Colorado. And I think Minnesota could do one of those like 12, 13, 14 game winning streaks towards the end of the season.
Who? Sorry,
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah, I think that empty net miss by McKinnon and Tags are going to haunt both of them right up until they're lifting the Stanley Cup in June.
Yeah, probably. I'm still going with them to win the cup.
Yeah,
as long as their goaltending holds up, I think
absolutely
they can turn it on.
But what an epic semi that would be! Edmonton, Colorado, in the East. I don't know. The East is still just crazy, but who knows?
Yeah,
you know East we're going to find out. We're going to find out next Sunday on the ME50 podcast after the trade line. We're going to have this discussion again.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Right after that.
All right, Phil. Have a great week.
All righty. You have a great week and mop up those tears and let's get back at it.
All righty.
See you later. Bye-bye.
A battle waged in silver and blue. This is hockey, the heart of the